Well, Barry, that was an interesting press conference, as we thought it would be, definitely. It was almost like towards the end that Tyson knew he was playing that role of a joker and almost playing the crowd, and the crowd absolutely loved it. My question is he playing a role? Because, you know, you and myself have both met Tyson in various different arenas, and he's different each time.
Yeah. He's a very smart man. He plays the fool, and he called himself the fool there. And I think it's a psychological game, taking his top off, showing off that he's out of shape right now. Listen, he's never has a six-pack. He's just not one of those heavyweights. So he'll play that game, and he wants, and like he did the first fight, he wants Klitschko to think that he's out of shape, that he's not taking it seriously, he's not training hard. And maybe Klitschko did the first time believe that, and went into the fight thinking it was going to be a walk in the park, and then Tyson comes out in tremendous shape. Cosmetically didn't look great, but I mean, tremendous shape. To stay on your feet for 12 rounds and dance and throw lots of punches like Tyson
very
did,
athletic.
for any weight is hard. For a heavyweight, it's quite special. And so I think, you know, he's a very clever man. He plays that gamesmanship to a T.
We'll go back to Tyson Fury's weight in a moment and just go on to Vladimir Klitschko, because the atmosphere wasn't great when people were talking to Vladimir Klitschko. They interrogated him, the press really put a lot of pressure on him, and it was very negative, talking about cheating, and that's somebody that's reigned in the heavyweight division for over 10 years.
It is. Well, listen, but it's been in Tyson's home court, so it's never going to be favourable for Klitschko, that was for sure. But he was disappointing. And whether that's because Tyson made it too difficult for him to commit, but he didn't commit in a fight where he was losing. So, maybe you have a strategy. So the first few rounds you just stick to your game plan. Then when you get to halfway stage and you haven't won a round, you have to go, this is the World Championship, this is my dream, this is my whole life. You have to commit yourself. And he didn't commit himself. And as Tyson was saying in the press conference, you didn't do anything for the 8, 9, 10, 11th round when you were massively behind. You didn't throw a right hand. And that's why he's got some criticism, and now I think Klitschko, for the first time in his career, has got it. Well, for the first time in 11 years, has got it all to prove.
And how will he take that role on as the challenger? And he spoke in his second answer about emotions and how he's had to deal with a lot of emotions afterwards. How do you think he's coped with that moving into the fight in July?
I don't think I think it'd be difficult because the personalities are so different. So when
no kidding.
So maybe there's when you're a quiet, shy person, and then you've got an extrovert to beat you, you naturally probably dislike that person. So which means the fact that Tyson beat him so convincingly, that Klitschko's he's injured. His pride is injured. So he'll want to make that right. Whether he can, he's got listen. If he does the same way he did the last fight, there's only one winner. He has to prove a lot more. He has to improve a lot more. And the problem is, at 40 years of age, can he improve? Can he do what he's never done before, and just bite onto the gum shield and overcommit? I'm not so sure.
Okay, I'll get your thoughts on the prediction later on. From a style point of view, the style was questioned quite a lot about whether Vladimir Klitschko can change his style, because if he does what he did last November, obviously the same result's going to be. Tyson Fury's answer was, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Sure. Do you agree with that?
I do, but also Vladimir is a very intelligent boxer, and he really is. So he can be better, but what he needs to do is, when you've got someone like Tyson Fury who's got fast feet, who moves very well, who's very athletic, you've got to cut the ring off. And not cut the ring off quick, you've got to cut the ring off you've got to think, I got 3 or 4 rounds to cut the ring off, and do it systematically. And if you can do that, get Tyson in the corners, then all the power is, to be honest, is with Klitschko. He carries the heavier hands. So if you can get Tyson on the ropes in the corner, then he got a chance. If it stays in the centre of the ring and he can't pressurise Tyson Fury, it's the same result.
I think actually I can see Tyson to my right. I kept having a little look. Come on, join us. Don't want to listen to Barry Jones. Come on, come in.
Let's get this
Thank you. I was trying not to kind of look too obvious that I could see you.
Come on, get yourself in.
We wanted to see that. We wanted to see like the height comparison.
You are quite tall.
Yeah, I am.
Have you got stilts on?
No, I've got flats.
No, I don't wear heels.
Yes, I am tall.
I was
Thank you very much
her.
for that compliment. Barry loves presenting with me, don't you?
Do you go for the tall type or the short type?
I like the tall type.
So
Sorry,
am I better your type if I wasn't married?
Well, if you weren't
The
married,
bald
I like
head,
the tall.
The ugliness and all that.
I wouldn't say you're ugly.
Oh, it's a nice end and fit.
Well, I don't know, especially when you lifted your top off and you just show your love handles though, didn't you?
Do you like a fat belly or not?
Not really, but you are losing weight.
Yes.
So then
I
maybe
might have
after
a
the
chance
fight,
in the future
after
if
the
I get a
fight.
divorce, which is
But
never
your
gonna
wife
happen.
was sat around the corner, so that's not going to happen. So let's talk about talking of bodies. So
Yeah.
let's talk a bit about that because you did take your top off and kind of wave it all around a little bit, which we love. So I've been watching you on Instagram, and you said you've lost 1 stone, you've got 2 stone to go.
Yeah.
How are you on track for that? Because you've got under 11 weeks to go.
I've lost 1 stone in 9 days, so it's coming off quite comfortable. I put it on as fast as I can get it off, basically. I've got 2 stone 3 pound to get off, and I've got 11 weeks to do it, so it should be quite easy.
Okay.
I'll get the weight off within another 4 weeks. That's comfortable for me.
Because we were talking just before you came in, Barry was saying about how athletic you are and how you don't need to have that aesthetics in boxing.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Is that kind of what you're looking for going into this fight as well?
I ain't never going to be Mr. Universe. I ain't built like that, as you can tell. But what I am good at is moving, Anna Barry.
Sorry, I need to jump up if you're mindful. But if you were muscle bound, then you could move.
Yeah.
So actually being athletic, and all the most athletic boxers, Larry Holmes, you mentioned Larry Holmes, great jab, great mover. He wasn't 6-pack. I don't think you always need that. But some people do. If you're built for power and you're going forward trying to bash people up, but for a mover like yourself, you need to be as loose and as agile as possible.
And you're on your toes pretty much for 12 rounds. Actually, just going back, I wanted to ask you, which nobody did, how has your life changed since you've become world champion? How's it been for you?
Not a lot. It hasn't changed at all, actually. Got the same wife.
That's good. You've
Got the
mentioned
same
that
kids,
quite a few times.
Live in the same house, drive the same car. Nothing's changed, really.
Okay.
What can life change, really, with a few belts in the cupboard? Not really. Nothing really much changes. People write a few more bad things about me on the internet and on the papers. But that's about it, really, Barry. But, I'll give you a little bit of factual information now, considering you mentioned Larry Holmes. Also, Larry Holmes went up 75 pounds in between fights. Oh, 45 pounds, sorry, in between fights, which is heavier than I've even put on. I went 3 stone 3 pounds overweight. He went 45 pounds overweight, so...
You know what I love? I was just going to say, you said, I don't care about boxing, but you know everything about boxing. You said you're a historian of boxing. You just gave us facts. You reeled off facts about Larry Holmes.
Yeah, well,
so
I am a historian.
But you like boxing.
I like researching it and talking about it, but I don't actually like doing it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. That's a bit of an understatement.
Depends if you win it or not.
Depends. No, not if I win, because I always win, but... Depending on who I'm fighting and if I've got something to prove or if I haven't, then that's the different Tysons you see. If it's all on the line and I'm risking millions of pounds, then I'm just going to do what it takes to get the W. But when I know I can beat somebody like Vladimir, then I just go flat out, try and get him out of there, which creates interesting fights.
I was going to say about the weight, because obviously heavyweight you can weigh what you want. Yeah. How important is it to lose that to get to a certain weight? Do you have like actually a poundage? Yeah. And do you want to get exact on that weight or near it, or does it matter too much, or what?
Yeah, my fighting weight of the last 2-3 years has been around about between 18.4 and 18.7, and I've even been as light as 17 stone. So I'm a big fella, so I need to be heavier, if you know what I mean. I need to be quite heavy, but not too heavy because I move a lot. Yeah. So when you're a natural mover, then you need to be agile enough but strong enough to do the damage. And I ain't a one-punch knockout artist. I'm more of an accumulation puncher, and I'm probably the most active heavyweight, like throwing punches in rounds there's been for a long time, because when I get going, I'll throw more than 60-70 punches around, and I can hold that for 12-15 rounds if needed.
Tyson, I know you've got to go because you've got so much media here, which you're talking about just then.
I'm
but finally,
talking to you, pretty face, rather than talking some ugly ones.
All right, let's stay here then.
Let's stay here for the next half an hour.
I do. That's very kind. I do want to talk about your fans though, because I know you said previously, I can fight anywhere. I don't care, whatever. It doesn't intimidate me. Yeah. But I want to know how much it means to you, because you talk so much about your heritage and how important it is to you to be here in Manchester, where you grew up, and to be in front of all your home fans on British soil.
Obviously, it's a fantastic achievement what Frank's done. He brought a super champion or former super champion to England, and that's never happened before. We've never had a super champion come here. The likes of Mayweather, and he's on that level. For my opinion, to be undefeated for all them years, it puts you on that level. So to bring someone like that over is an achievement in itself. But I'm very, very happy that it's in Manchester. I've not ever fought here, even though I'm from the city. Right. Never ever fought in this venue. I was supposed to fight here a couple of times against a guy with no name and no heart, but we all know what happened there. So that makes for I didn't fight here. So it's just a new thing for me too. I was giving it the big in over there, like this is my hometown and all, like my fans, my stadium.
Your arena, but
in hindsight, I've been a spectator a few times.
Well,
going back a long few years.
It's good as it's a spectator, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've done a few fights here as well.
Fantastic. But I can guarantee one thing: this venue's never had a heavyweight champion of the world in it. Not the best one anyway, from the city. So there we are.
I know I definitely have to go, but I'm going to ask you one more question because you said I could, and these are telling me that I can't.
Just do it.
When we
Everyone
watched your
loves the
fight,
rogue.
when we watched the fight in November, Vladimir Klitschko got in the ring and he looked scared of you. And you mentioned it before. Sat there as well. We talked about your different characters. He's shy, and you're a bit of an extrovert. He seemed intimidated. Do you think he's still scared of you? Do you think he's scared of you?
I don't think he's scared of me, no, because he's had 60 odd fights, and if you're not scared, it's a boxing match. He's been there, done it all before. But when you're going in there and you know you can't beat somebody, but you're just doing it to have a last payday or just have a redemption if you can, then it becomes hard work for you, doesn't it? You know, if I go somewhere I don't really want to be there, I'm not wholeheartedly wanting to be there, then I make an excuse and I want to go somewhere else ASAP. If I go somewhere, just for an instance, and to make my wife happy, just, you know, as you have to do, like, sometimes you really don't want to go somewhere, and she's like, I do all this for you, can you not just come here for me? So I turn up and then have 2 drinks and I think, right, if I'm going to put the phone on, make it call me or something, or make an excuse just to get out of there. And that's what I think Vlad's going to do. Okay. I think he's coming here for, obviously, 1, for a last big payday, 2, because he's 6'6" and 250 pounds and can punch like an horse kicking, and 3, he's giving it his last chance saloon thing. He's going to come, give it a go, and if he can't get me out of there, then he's just going to pack it in. I see him retiring me, or else if not, if he does really come swinging, I see myself knocking him out.
So I was going to ask you, because you were a little bit of an unknown, as you said yourself at the press conference to Klitschko at the time, but then you box so well, now he knows what you're going to do, and I presume you're going to do similar same sort of style, because it works so well for you. Will there be any sort of complacency in your corner that you think you know what to do, you just dance and throw lots of punches and that'll be enough?
I'll hold it now because your arm's aching probably, right?
Go on. You know, it was enough the first time, and there is a saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah. But, you know, it's I keep getting reviews back that it was a boring fight, this, that and the other, but I watch it quite a lot, and I understand heavyweight boxing, and I thought it was a fantastic performance on my behalf anyway. It wasn't my fault like Klitschko didn't want to throw any punches and he didn't want to risk getting knocked out. But if the shoe was on the other hand, he was outboxing me, and I got to say round 8, 9, and I couldn't get him with any shots. I'd put my hands up forward, get windmilling forward, and try and get him out of there.
We were just saying the same
go
thing.
in, win, or go out on a stretcher. Yeah. I won that fight clearly, nearly every round. But in the last round, Peter said, right, get out there and get him now, knock him out. So if you look at round 12, it was more active in round 12 than it was in round 1, 2 to 11. Yeah. So, because that's what we are. We didn't want to box away and try and win on points. I tried to get him out of there in the last, and I couldn't get him out of there.
Was it a nervous at the end of the fight? Because even though you boxed so well, it was clear you won. Yeah. But being away from home, that maybe you weren't going to get the rub of the green.
You never know what's going to happen. There has been a lot of bad decisions in boxing, and especially in Germany. So I didn't know what was going to go down, but God is good, and I prayed and I said, listen, if it's your will, let it be, and if not, no problem. I only went there and done the best that I could do on the day, and that was it, and it was enough, and I was given the victory and on to it. But like he said, all these things have been said and yada yada yada, but it isn't like I mistake to say them all, is it? Like, ooh, I slipped it out. I meant to do it all.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's all meant to do. So all this controversy and all this stuff that's been created by me, the hype machine, the promoter's dream, I do it on purpose because I can. Because I can talk. I can talk a glass eye to sleep, if you haven't noticed. No one else can, so that's why I'm a big draw in boxing.
You did say that in the press conference that, you know, if you just had a yes and no answer interview, you kind of wouldn't get all the hype. So I know that I'm actually being told to hurry up. So
I think we should drag it on. I've got a story to tell. Frank, are you all right with us going on BoxNation? Me getting all these views on BoxNation, or shall I go to somewhere else? That man's
Frank,
paying me.
Come in, Frank. Join
in the middle,
join
Frank.
our little hub studio.
He's paying the bills, so
it's
up to him.
Get in the middle, boss.
Can I sit on your stool?
Get in the middle, Frank.
Okay then, so we've got a bit longer with you.
Go on, Yeah, lovely.
A little bit. Should we bring Frank into it?
What's this?
All right, Frank. What did you think of the press conference and Tyson Fury there and the questions that were asked?
I think, thank God, Tyson was there. Otherwise, you wouldn't get too much for a press conference. He says all the things that he says, and I think that you know, as you said, from a promotion point of view, there's some fantastic things that he comes out with, and he's you know, I'm talking like he's not here, but he's a very intelligent man. There's no doubt about that. He knows his boxing, he knows his history, and he can fight. And I've become a big fan of Tyson's after he fought Derek Chisora, because I really thought Chisora was going to give him a lot of problems.
Good idea.
And he did. He never won a
He
second. He never won a second fight. And one thing you say about him, and I know he's here again saying the same thing, but he's never ducked anyone. You know, David Haye, I'll fight David Haye. Chisora, I'll fight Chisora. Klitschko, I'll fight him. And Klitschko didn't want to fight him. He fought himself into the position, into the mandatory position for the fight. So he doesn't duck anyone. There's nobody who he won't fight. And that's the bottom line with Tyson, I think, is that as a heavyweight, it's not like hand-picking guys. You know, of course, when guys start out when they're younger, you guide them through and you give them a few easy jobs and learning jobs. But he'll fight anybody. And I find that really refreshing in any weight division, because there are so many boxers who try to avoid each other. If he could fight Wilder tomorrow, he'd fight him. Or Povetkin was world champion, he'd fight him. There's no doubt about it.
Going on that comments, is that because you have supreme confidence in your ability?
No, it's not that. I believe if you're going to be any good, you'll do it. If you want to be the best in the division, it's no point in fighting bum people. You've got to fight the best to be the best. And, you know, like Frank said, I ain't afraid to fight anybody. I've had hard fights from 6-7 fights. In my 6th fight, I fought an English champion who was runner-up twice for the British title on a split decision losses and stuff in my 6th, 7th fight, and give me hell and high water, hardest fight in my life, even harder than Klitschko. So for me to be in that deep water so early, and again undefeated fighters after undefeated fighters, name anybody else, only other heavyweights who do this. If you look down my record, I think there's more undefeated heavyweights I've fought on there than any other heavyweight in the country put together.
Yes, you've almost had the squad and experience and gone the proper way up to the world champion. And I was also going to talk about, from now, you've got just under 11 weeks, you go into your training camp. Do you kind of shut yourself away? Because I know you feature in the press a lot. Every time I read a newspaper, you're involved in it on different comments. You know, what are you going to do from now? Do you, because I know you come across as like nothing bothers you, you know, but do you have to work on your mind and psychology as well? No,
the psychology thing in the mind is not something that I suffer with. You think I'm like Vladimir Klitschko, do you? No, I don't suffer with all that. I just got to go in camp, get the weight off. The weight's my main issue. Living the life outside of boxing, which I don't do, and which I'll probably never will do. I'm not going to lie about it. I can't go out and eat a salad sandwich. I'm going to go out and eat whatever I want, how I want, when I want, because that's my personality. It's all or nothing, everything I do. If I over-addicted personality, I couldn't go and have one drink. It'd have to be until I couldn't stand up. I wouldn't have one chocolate bar, I'd have 10. That sort of thing. So when you're in that mentality, if I'm in training mode, I'm in training mode. I ain't going to slack-eyed behind the bags or sneak a Mars bar in down the road. I'm going to do it properly.
And that personality, I was going to say, makes you the top of the world, the heavyweight champion of the world, because without that extreme personality, that perfectionism, all or nothing, you wouldn't be able to get to the top.
Dragged on though the negotiations to get this fight. I mean, I'm quite sure, you know, I'm sure you like to say it for yourself, but you'd like to be a busy fighter.
Oh, unbelievably.
If you're busy, then you're not going to blow up in weight, and
yeah.
you're going to keep fighting. But because of this rematch clause, it's dragged on and on and on, and they've obviously, they're thinking Tyson's going to blow up in weight. It's going to be hard for him to get up the weight. That's the games that they play, and that's why I believe they dragged on the negotiations.
So you feel they did that on purpose?
Of course they do. Everything they do is, you know, when it's talking earlier about, you know, about the ring ring canvas in Germany, about the bandaging. We went through all that with Derek Chisora out there. That's why there was so much frustration and all the things happened there with him. These guys have got a fantastic image to the public, but behind the scenes, it gets as dirty as it can be.
Yeah, they were interrogated by all the media. I'm going to let you go because you've given us so much time. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem.
And we can't wait to see you on July the 9th live on BoxNation. Me and Barry will be there ringside. Yes. Thank you very much.
I can't wait to see it myself, actually.
And best of luck. And hope losing weight goes very well. We'll be watching you on Instagram. I love your videos. Keep doing it. Thanks so much, Tyson. Best of luck. We really appreciate your time. Thank you. Thanks. Well, it was really great that Tyson gave us so much time there, and I think he gave us so much information and content. It was really great, and I think sometimes I've met him in different scenarios, which me and Barry were talking about, and when you kind of get him in that, he's actually comes across very well.
Sometimes when you go, look, there's a few bit of effing and blinding which you could do without.
But that actually came from Vladimir Klitschko.
Well, it did, and you know,
as well.
and you know, there are times that times you don't need it, but you know, it's a funny thing. I mean, the opening statement was meant to be provocative from Vladimir when he started talking about some of the comments Tyson made, and I really regrets some of those things. Having said that, Muhammad Ali, when he was a young man, blacks shouldn't go with whites, whites shouldn't go with blacks, and he went on with, his quite racist remarks. Yet he went on to become the best loved sportsman of the 20th century, BBC Personality of the Century award he won. So people say things, and and I know he regrets some of those things that were said, and they were certainly unacceptable. But he is very intelligent. When you can sit him down, and get him one-on-one, and you can talk to him, he's quite enlightening, and he certainly is a great boxing historian. He knows his boxing.
Do you feel that the fight is going to go similar? Because me and Barry and a lot of people have been talking about whether it's just literally is going to be a repeat.
Well,
not just the result, but actually the way the fight goes.
If Vladimir Klitschko fights like he did last time, then there's only going to be one result. So he's the one who's got to change his game plan. It's not Tyson who's got to change, it's him. The only way he's going to beat this guy, he's got to come out and he's got to keep throwing shots. And if he's throwing shots, he's going to leave himself open. And then obviously Tyson has the ability to exploit that. I think the good thing about Tyson Fury is that he's not robotic in as much that his style, he can adapt. So he can switch, he can go from southpaw to orthodox, and you've seen him do it. And as I mentioned earlier on, the fight he had against Derek Chisora, who was on a good roll at the time. He had about 5 or 6 really good wins under his belt. I mean, he didn't win a second in a round, and he beat him in every department. And he quite went up in my estimation because it was using his brain there.
It was actually a Klitschko-like performance again, except for turning southpaw. He was very controlled, wasn't he? Didn't get close to Chisora. Didn't give him a chance to land.
And you think what Derek did with his brother, in that when he fought him in Germany. I mean, he pushed him as hard as anybody, and just didn't get into that fight. And I think that's the thing with him. I think he's one of those guys. You look at him, he's a hard fighter to beat.
He's a constantly moving target, and for a heavyweight, that's unheard of now, really.
Exactly, he's good on his feet, and he'll shift that bit of weight. As you say, he's got 9 weeks or so that'll come off, give him something to work on. He'll get into camp, but he's he really does feel that he's got Klitschko's number, and he certainly had it last time round.
But also, Klitschko is people underestimate because he was so poor. He's clever, and even but he don't overextend, and he doesn't take any risks. But if he can close the gap round by round, good footwork.
That's what he's got to do, and and what he's tried to do in the last round, I think he's going to come out and try and do that earlier on. But as Tyson has observed, and I think most people in boxing know, once to do that, you've got to commit yourself. And when you start throwing shots that commit yourself, that's when you leave yourself exposed.
And history would show in Klitschko fights that he never ever takes a risk.
No, he's a very, they're very, him and his brother, very defensive minded, and that's why I think a lot of people called them robotic. I mean, they were good robots. They won all their fights.
We are having to wrap up now, and I know the press conferences will come into a close. Thank you so much. Do you want to give information about how people can get the tickets? Because I know they're selling like hot cakes.
Well, get onto the Eventum, the ticket agents, and they will obviously make the tickets available. But they are, as you say, they're going, and I understand that well over half of them have gone during the press conference. So this will be a sellout very soon.
Well, we can't wait. We'll all be there ringside. Thanks so much for joining us, Frank.
You can watch it on the Channel of Champions.
I was just about to do that. Thank you. You can watch it on the Channel of Champions. It's live on BoxNation on July the 9th, live from the Manchester Arena. I did it for you.
You've done it.
Thank you.
The real heavyweight championship of the world.
The real heavyweight championship of the world. Thank you for watching. We'll see you then.